And with that, we will get started. All right, so the agenda today, we'll do some updates on campus. We'll talk about the Campus Central page, some release updates, some Q&A, some, if anybody has feedback for a feedback survey. But also, I mean, if anybody's done one of these, you know that I like to have conversations. I like to make it conversational. So please just put your comments in at any time, and we will, we'll address those questions. We wait till we get a few of them in there, and then we can start to address them as things come up. One other housekeeping note I want to say is we had originally planned on having a group administrator session directly following this meeting. We did have to cancel that session. We did have to pull it off because of the presenter, Angie, is taken ill this week, so she will not be able to do those sessions. We will reschedule them for next week and have the availability for everybody to have that group administrator talk. We've been on the phone with a number of firms, and we've seen that sometimes the way groups are set up is causing some issues with filing or with what the experience that people are having. So we definitely, those sessions are valuable, but like I said, sometimes people get sick, so we will have her back next week, and we will do those sessions. First, we'll start off with the Campus Central page. This page is getting utilized a lot more frequently, and this is a page that we have on the internet where you have information if we know we have some issues, or for instance, if there's going to be any type of communication sent out. We also put copies of it on there if it's very relevant to a process or something that stakeholders may have to deal with, or if there's just things that we know that are out there that we can put out when certain things will be fixed. There's reference videos on there. We will put in the issues, and then when they're fixed, we'll put that up there. And then some more instructional stuff if there's things that are needed because people are having not having the ability to file. So this is a very good page to go to reference some things. It's something we want to really make it valuable by putting very pertinent information that has broad appeal or has a direct impact to somebody's ability to do something on campus. We don't want to have it get all messy and have too much on there, but if people are seeing stuff and you want to see more stuff on there, please let us know. We have a number of people. Richard Davis, he and his team are put stuff on there for attorneys and for insurance carriers. So we want to make sure that the page is valuable to you. We also, in there, there's links to our training and quick reference videos. Those are things that are really important right now, because sometimes, we're so inundated that, we forget on some of the stuff. If you're not getting quick response from anybody, from myself or from the team, sometimes going through those quick reference videos or the external guide does really help out in trying to solve some of these problems. And Todd, I'm going to hold you accountable to stop me if you're seeing a bunch of questions or something, just to let me know when to stop and ask me the questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Some of the things that we were able to resolve, it shouldn't be an issue anymore. We had intermittent people getting a blank screen at login. It wasn't any particular stakeholder group, and it was a little more random than we thought, but we have really tuned up that login page to make sure that there's no blank screen at login. Also, registrations are able to go through. The placeholder for PDF documents for documents that are not in the system yet. And what that is so there are a number of documents that have to be converted from data format into a PDF. And before go live, we received a large number of them. And because this process takes so much time, and it actually has to be run in our development environment first, and it it's been just sitting there. We have to wait for enough time to run it because obviously we need people fixing bugs. We need to we have some additional development needs that we're using that environment for. So if you go in and you click on a first report of injury, it's going to come up. And if it's one of these, it'll show that there's no information, but there'll be a placeholder. Those will be resolved after Thanksgiving. So if anybody has seen that, that's what that is. If you're seeing it on other documents, it's really around R forms and first report of injury. If you're seeing other documents that aren't appearing, please give us some examples because we've got some reports, but we have not been able to verify any of them from our side. So we want to get those. Documents produced from web forms entering made up WIDs. That's something that's been a little bit of an issue where the WIDs obviously are made up, and so they're not linking to our entities. So when you're doing service and things, it's not pulling in the correct people. So that's something that we're looking into. The notice of appearance web form. This one we've verified with multiple people that this is working. So if people are still struggling with this, let us know. We want to make sure that it is working. We have had some feedback that our criteria to locate a claim is pretty strict, and that is causing people to, when they are trying to do the notice of appearance web form, that it's really strict on the criteria, and so they're not locating a claim, and it's filing a notice of appearance, but then there's no claim established, and the other filings are not pulling in all the information. So that's something we do have as feedback, but just so you know, the ability to locate a claim step and file that notice of appearance that would give you direct access to a claim has been vetted through our Office of General Counsel. And that's why we have 3 different criteria that will allow you to get access to the claim, because you do get instant access with that notice of appearance. That's why the criteria is strict. We don't want people to be able to fish or to go through there and just be able to get access to maybe things that they shouldn't. So be very clear on that. The piece of that I will also mention is if you're running into an issue when you're using last name and a social security number, we have seen that it does appear that a lot of times the insurance carrier or the employer who has ever reported the claim may have the last name a little different, hyphens versus no hyphens, things of that nature. So watch that. And then, of course, the WID number issue. There's step-by-step process of how to locate WID numbers now. You do have to contact CRT, and they're getting them. We do have this as a high priority item to look into a process to have just campus be able to log in and get WIDs. It's just technically it's always feasible. It's just a little more difficult when you know that if you get that WID, you would be able to probably get instant access into claims. So we're trying to make sure that we balance all that and we get the right requirements, and that we're able to limit it to only the people that have the right to go in there and look up WIDs to get those WIDs. Todd, did you have something?
I just put the link that's in your presentation to the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Brad, this is Richard. I actually had something. I just want to level set with people. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you had said this at the outset, but what the process and the reason why we're calling out these issues, it's a week by week process where Brad's team, in partnership with our vendor CapTech, we collect feedback, log any issues, bugs, what have you. And then each week we're able to go in and make edits, updates to the system based on feedback that we're getting from our users. So these are items that have recently been gone through the process and have recently been sort of vetted and released. And each week we're doing this in an effort to address any items that need to be resolved based on feedback that we get from everyone. So I just want to make sure, Brad, that everyone is aware that it's ongoing. It's sort of a process that repeats itself, so that we have a different iteration of campus, so to speak, almost each week. And that's why it's beneficial that we get the feedback, that when people contact the help desk, or folks that they know within the building, but ideally the help desk, that information is being used so that we can continue to make the system better on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Yeah, and if you are contacting the help desk or anybody, it's really good to have specific examples. Like I've said before, sometimes we get reports of some behavior, but we try to reproduce it or we try to see where it's happening. And without specifics, it's really hard for us to do that because we're showing that it's working. And a lot of times it comes down to permissions, database configurations, things like that we need to know. Did somebody get stuck in a weird group, and that's why they're not seeing something they should. Okay, so known issues, claim access for migrated cases and files. We're still looking into this. We know some attorneys are getting theirs and some are not. So we're still looking into all the cases where this is happening. And a lot of this comes right down to what did we have in the old system that we can link to the attorneys, and how do we get them access to their files. Calendaring access for externals. This is something that we're having issues with for calendars. So that's something we will look into. And then documents not viewable on campus. I've talked about that a little bit. We know of the two main ones that are not viewable, but if you're seeing that you click on a document and it's just not there, let us know what claim you're on and what document it is, so we can research it to see what's happening. We did have cases where the old system, the actual document in the way the document is stored in the old system when it came over was a corrupt file. And so if that's the case, we'll have to chase down how to get it out of the old system and manually and upload it in there. So we do need examples of those. And then medical providers attempting to intervene, having some issues. Okay, so that's enough of me rambling. Let's turn it over to you, and let's start with the questions.
Yeah, we had one that said, how about staff access to migrated legacy files?
Yeah, that's something we're currently looking into. So the the old system had no way of linking staff to the files. It was linked only by the attorney. And because the new system, the way that it works is staff to get access to a file, it actually puts them as a party underneath the attorney in the file. So that's usually done through filing. So the old system had no way to link them, and the new system, the way the processes are designed, doesn't link them either. So we're looking into it. We do know that obviously if you filed a notice of rep or notice of appearance on a new one, it would go through, and then we have seen that staff get linked that way. So you can do that even if you filed one before. That does work. We're looking at technical solutions on it, but it's a much bigger issue as far as how parties are created and how they're supposed to be established on a case that's causing that to happen.
We have a question from Cindy. It says, we have been waiting 3 weeks to file our NOA, but we are still not able to access any claims or file anything through campus. We were told we cannot file anything conventionally, so we are not sure how to explain this holdup to our clients.
So I think, Cindy, we should talk, because we know the NOA should be working, and we've tested them with our external partners. They're able to get them in. So you should be able to file those. If you're still unable to, because it's your group should be set up. You go in, you do the submit a filing, does the locate a claim step, and then you locate the claim and do it that way. So that should work. If the other filings, we do know we're having some issues with some of the other filings. Some of it is the way we originally designed the product is not working in the real world around filing of responses. That's been problematic, and so we are working on a fix for that tonight. So if we could be just more clear on that, I can take that or send your information to Richard, and we'll be able to follow up on that.
Yeah, Brad, I would ask Cindy to follow up with me on that one, and I'll make sure you have my email address so we can provide some clarity and updates around that. Because you're right, we do have some things that are scheduled to release tonight as our weekly release, kind of in the spirit of what I was just mentioning. Normally, our weekly releases are later, but we're doing it a little bit sooner in the week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So we're optimistic that we'll be able to provide a little bit more guidance more quickly to address some of the points that Cindy's raised. So, Cindy, I'll make sure you have my email address and you can contact me directly for follow up around that.
We had a question
Brad.
from. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, sorry, I was going to say I got one, Brad, that was sent to me, and I don't know if we have the demo availability set up today, but would we be able to demonstrate how to file a notice of right to intervene? So it's from someone who's looking for information on behalf of a potential intervener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have the ability to demo today. I apologize.
Okay.
Just with Angie out, if we will, because I don't want to jump to the end, but we are going to do more answer hours next week. We can have specific, maybe 30 minutes of the answer hour dedicated to demoing functionality, and we can take that down as one of the pieces that needs to be demonstrated.
And that's another one where I know who's making that request, and we can follow up and see if there's something we can do offline outside here to put some materials together. Because I assume that that's one of those things that if one person's asking it, more people are looking for something similar. So we'll see what we can do around that.
Okay, we had a question from Kim. I do a lot of letters to Dolly requesting prior work comp records. How do I file those requests? There is no option for correspondence when I attempt to file. And what happens if the file isn't on campus?
Yeah, that's a real good question. So there is a process laid out to do to get requests from the department. Even if the files aren't, I mean, unless you're talking a brand new file, but if the files, even the old files, even if there's not the whole file in there, when you do the request, you can get those. The staff will go down and print them and then send you when they're ready. But I'll take a step back. If you just need to get access to one file, the file, the date of injury and everything, there's a web form online, which is Todd, is it a request for authorization? Sorry, I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Yep, I'm not familiar. Richard, do you know?
Sorry, I'm multitasking over here again. Can you repeat that?
There's a web form that you will be able to request access to a file. I just don't know if it's called a request for access or authorization to view or something.
We're talking about for those legacy files that were supposed to be coming Informix, our old system.
Yeah, just any file that somebody knows the date of injury. It's a single file they want access to. There's a web form to do it. You would submit that, and then the staff at CRT reviews it. You have to upload some documentation signed by the employee, and then they get you access to the file, and then you get an email saying it's approved, and then it'll show up in your list, and then you can go in there and look at those files. If it's something that's an any and all request, there's a special way of doing that now. Richard, do you know the specs on that, or is that on the campus page?
Yeah, so any and all, we have a process. Our goal is to try to push that out, but it's very much rooted in the same types of things where you'd file the form with DLI. There's a little bit more detail involved there, so I don't want to get into the weeds right now. But I know we have a communication that's actually been drafted that provides a little bit more clarity and specificity around the various elements that are required. And it does spell that out. So Our hope is that we'll be able to get that pushed out maybe as early as even this afternoon to provide a little bit more guidance specific to, these types of things around any and all and legacy claim access. We just got to get it reviewed and signed off on. But I would just tell folks to stay tuned, and we should be able to get that turned around very, very quickly. So your question is right on time.
We had a question from Naomi. As it stands, for legacy files, we have to log in as an attorney, but then they only get filing notifications for success or failure versus staff.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. With the way that the people are associated to files in the legacy system versus the new system. We're looking at technical options, but it could be a pretty major change. If you wanted access to those files as a paralegal, you could, if they refiled a notice of authorization, it will give that person, that paralegal, access, anybody associated to them. But that's what dictates that in our system is the actual filings.
So from Betsy, we had, so is there a workaround for medical providers who can't intervene? Is DLI going to still accept interventions if they are late because the system isn't allowing us to intervene?
Todd, I'll speak to that one. I know that has actually been logged as a bug, that very specific issue. And I think maybe even Angie has been in follow-up contact with Betsy around this one, but that's logged as a bug. It's being worked on as we speak in an effort to develop, the formal process within campus so we can have that addressed. As it relates for the question around, let's see, is DLI still going to accept interventions if they are late because the system is allowing us to intervene? We can follow up with our colleagues in CRT and compliance to verify that. I don't want to speak out of turn here. I would be hard pressed to believe that there would be any issues there, but look for an official stance to come from our brethren in CRT around that particular topic. But as it relates to interventions there, I do know that there's a bug that has been logged and it's actively being worked on as we speak.
Thanks, Richard. From Cindy, Meg in our office has been in contact with Ken Kimber and Aaron Fredrickson on the issue of not being able to access campus files as well. It's more of a comment. From Melissa, I was sent a notice of rehab notes. My assistant and I are both admins for the law firm of our department. She was able to read the notification. When I opened this, there was no notification. Was this because we are both administrators of our law firm?
That'd be a good one to get an example of exactly what you got. Send that to Richard, and we'll be able to track down what's going on with that. Usually, if you're an administrator but you're also linked up to the attorney, you would see the same thing.
Just to clarify, I'm the attorney and she's the assistant, and I'm also the admin.
We're not hearing you very well. Can you?
Just to clarify,
There.
I am the attorney and she is the assistant, and we're the two admins for it. And she said that she could read what the notice was. When I opened up, there was no notification in the campus system at all. It said I had no notifications. Do you want a screensaver shot, or what do you want?
Yeah, screenshot and the actual email you received.
Okay,
So
thank
we can
you.
then track down what it is. Yeah.
From Sheila, if an intervener have filed a motion to intervene, they should show up as a party, shouldn't they? I have a file where 3 motions to intervene show up in the documents, but there are no interveners listed as parties.
Yeah, interventions, they would show up as a party on the dispute as a potential intervener. So that's again, send us the screenshots of that so we can figure out where they are.
And Brad, you're making a distinction between what shows up on the dispute as a
Yes.
party versus the claim as a party.
Yes, yeah, that is something different. Where an intervention, you're intervening on the dispute itself. You don't get added as a party to the actual claim, so there's a distinction there.
And Sheila did clarify that it's a case claim, submit an authorization. So I think possibly that's it, Sheila. If that wasn't the case, maybe you could. That was a different Sheila. All right. So she had a comment about it's a case claim for submitting an authorization. And maybe it's a question about getting the authorization at a claim level. And maybe that's just a comment. I can move on.
I think that's a comment. I think that's referring to, I was asking what was the document called?
Got it. All right. Very good. From Molly, with regards to the calendar, when I pull the calendar up, it does not update with court dates, etc. It looks like it's trying to download, but it never completes. Any suggestions?
I would like to yeah, can you reach out to Richard, and we might have to use you as an example. So what is happening is it's pulling real-time data, and sometimes we have our timeout set so that it doesn't spin too long doing that. So I'd like to see what it's doing in your world, and then we can track down the service calls and everything that we're doing.
From Deborah, we don't have an appeal tab. I have been working with Brian Mack on this, but just thought I'd throw it out here. We do have a case at the WCCA, and one of the assistants here wanted to check something. So should they see the appeal
Yeah,
related? Or?
Is it a case that was started before campus went live? Either way, we can look into it, because there should just be
a legacy one. Yep.
Yeah, it should just be a dispute type of appeal. If the notice of appeal got entered into Informex, and then that would create a transaction in there for that appeal. But that's we got to look into this particular case to see if that was ever entered in Informex, so we would see it.
And if the case is in us from WCCA, would it appear on its own appeals tab, or does it show up in the disputes tab? Is it a separate tab?
No, it's in the disputes tab, and it's under dispute type of appeal.
From Tina, we are getting a lot of notices related to emails and documents from QRCs, but when we try to access those through the email notices from campus, we get an error message stating, sorry, we can't find the page you're looking for. We've gone ahead and tried to gain access by filing an NOA, but still cannot get access to the documents filed through campus. Richard, you're not on mute. How do we locate what has been filed that we receive for these notices?
Let's get some examples of this. So first, is this a recent thing you saw over the past week, especially the weekend?
Today, yeah.
Okay, I think we might need to do some research on this. So QRCs were having issues with with their legacy claims, because of the way the data was tracked in Informex, they showed that none of their cases were closed. So when we uploaded them originally, they just had hundreds and hundreds of cases that looked open. But we did a process where we went and we re-added all the cases. And I'm wondering if you were a party onto those claims, if you're getting notices now because we had to do that. I do want to research that with you. So send your information to Richard. Richard, can you make sure you give that one to me so we can see what's going on with those?
And that's from Tina, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I know they'd be active cases. We reactivated all the QRC cases.
Okay.
From Tammy, we have a file where the employee's attorney filed a medical response on 10/27 prior to go live, and we need to file a medical response, which is due on 11/18, but their medical request is in the system as miscellaneous petition, and the notice of appearance we filed on 11/16 is sitting in pending review and has not been processed yet for some reason. How can we get our medical response filed?
That's a good question. I know I know we had some issues with responses, especially because of the way we had it set up. So tonight you should be able to file a response with the bill tonight. But I would like to walk through that with you and set up some time with what you're seeing, because we had to migrate the data over the way that it was in there, and these in-flight events are always some of the most challenging to deal with. So if you could maybe set up some time today so we can look at that with you, and I will walk you through it. And if we see something, we'll put it on that campus page for everybody on the responses.
From Beth, we have a case where 2 DOIs are involved. Campus has one of the DOIs in the system, and the other is a legacy claim that hopefully will be in Campus soon. How do we get to the 2 DOIs related to how do we get the 2 DOIs related in Campus?
That I honestly am not familiar with how to do that. I know there is a business process to do it when things are filed and there's a request to have them related. But I don't know that off the top of my head. That's something I'll have to circle back with and follow up with you on.
So part of that, though, both DOIs should be in Campus. There aren't any claims that are waiting to migrate. So it's a matter of identifying them and linking them, correct?
Yeah, both claims should be in there, but the actual filings is what would be linked, the disputes. You wouldn't link the 2 claims together. You would link the dispute to the 2 claims. So it's a technical piece, Todd, that I think we need to do some research on and get an answer out there.
Okay. From Victoria, please confirm if the attorney only receives the confirmation email of a filing. In order for their support staff to receive a confirmation email, they have to file on behalf of the attorney under one of the support staff logins. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that goes back to an earlier question where some of that is being looked at as to what the best way is to associate staff with attorneys and do notifications and things, correct, Brad?
Some of it, but if you make a filing and you're the person making the filing, the person making the filing gets a confirmation filing. And it shows up under their My Files or My Documents tab, or it shows up in there.
And I think we had the question before was maybe for both, that they both want to get a notification, or one gets an email, but when the other one logs in, that the little notification icon in Campus would indicate that there's been a notification, just so that multiple folks can understand what's going on. I think that was the feedback. And Victoria, if I didn't say that right, please type a note or go off mute. So based on that, Naomi's wondering why staff need to have their own logins if things are separated like that.
Why staff need to have their own logins? Because
If
staff should be.
Go ahead.
I just want staff should have their own login because they should be filing on behalf of an attorney, so we know who is actually filing the document.
And the comment is on legacy files, they can't. So there's some frustration around that.
Yeah, I think we've addressed that. I agree it's frustrating, but there's right now there's not a great technical option to do that. Only a notice of appearance when you've set up your group into that filing would allow the person to file.
There's no questions right now.
So we do have some, I think Richard said it, we are out of the office on Thursday and Friday. I think most people are taking those days off anyway, but the department is closed. We'll be back Monday. We do have, if you see, we have a couple of answer hours filed for, or ready to go for next week. So we have a couple law firm answer hours set up for both Tuesday and Thursday. We have rehab providers, insurance carriers. So we do have this next week, making sure we do have plenty of time to do things. We have some fixes going in tonight, which should really help with some of your pain, especially on the filing of responses. I do not, I think I just saw, what times are they? I do not have the times right now. I got to work with Jenny O'Brien in communications to figure out when these are going to be set up for. And then we'll get those out in our Gov delivery notice. And I think we have a request from earlier to show some functionality, especially for interveners and how to file notice of interventions. That is, we will definitely do that in these answer hours when we have time to set up all the data to do those demos.
And we had a couple more questions come in. Last week I filed a med request and I was not able to add the employee's health insurance under healthcare payer info. I would add the information, click submit, then nothing would be added or updated. Also, when the affidavit of service was generated, only the electronic service recipients were on the AOS. Are we supposed to create our own AOS for non-electronic recipients? I did click every person I was able to.
Yeah. The process for that is on that screen. There's obviously the electronic people. You click them, and then the ones that are mail parties, because they don't have accounts, and like that healthcare provider, you would put in their service type mail, and you would put the date you were going to send out the service, if it's same day or next day. That's the way that works. So that's the way it should work. Now, if you weren't able to add them on the form, that's the bigger issue, because then they're not going to show up on the notice of service. So, Todd, can you take that down as something I can test?
Yes. Yep.
And it was a medical request, you said? Okay, medical
I'll
request.
send you the question, yeah. From Victoria, how do we see all open claims on behalf of the firm?
That is something I have to look into. This is where we're really missing Angie right now, who's our group management person that that knows this stuff a little better than me. So I will follow up with Angie on that and get that answer out there.
We have another question. Any thought about redoing the overview of how to use Campus with all of the updates you are working on?
Yes, that is for sure one of the activities we want to do. These weeks in December. I mean, obviously, our goal right now is to make sure get everybody so they can file, they can get access to their things. But we want to make sure that we have time to get the system stabilized and then redo those overviews, those trainings for different stakeholder groups.
From Kelsey, when we filed a medical and rehab response, it did not provide the option to serve any parties. Additionally, when we did, our denial language that we typed in did not populate onto the final filed document. Have these been looked into and or fixed?
That's the first I've heard of that it's not pulling everything in on the actual document. When you save the document, whatever you typed is not pulling in, and also it's not giving the service option. Some of the service options, oh, talked about on our call. Okay, we do. Okay, so then we will, if we talked about it, then I have teams working on it. We do know some of the service call issues are where the claim is not linked, and so there's no entities that will pull in. That is being worked on. Yes.
From Beth, we had, when requesting a DLI file, after access has been granted, the ability to download, the PDFs are blank. Any fix in place? It appears to be image docs prior to Campus showing up blank.
Yeah, let's look at that one. I mean, if you could send us those, what firm you're with, the screenshots and the claim itself that you're on, and we'll look into that to see why they're showing up blank.
And there are a few documents that you mentioned earlier, Brad, that are still in progress. So it could be just the chances of landing on one of those, correct? But we still want to verify that.
Could definitely be that, but a lot of the other stuff, like, so this affects like Freud's, but like some of the other documents should be in there. So that's why I want to see it, to see if it's one of those documents or if it's something else.
Yeah, Robin had a comment. Those blank PDFs are a PDF encoding issue. We worked around it by opening them using Chrome, Firefox, etc. The printing and scanning are printing straight to Adobe PDF. So some possibly PDF types and different browsers rendering PDFs differently. Is that what you're getting at, Robin?
That's good information.
Mm-hmm.
We can look and see if that is something. I know that I've been testing and using Microsoft Edge. I'm probably the only one in the department who does that, and they are working there. The user experience is far better on Chrome, for sure. But I know that one of our other coworkers uses Safari, so I think that I would like to see this issue and see if it is browser related or if we have an Adobe issue.
So it'd be nice to get some examples of document numbers that render correctly in one browser and blank in a different one. From Sheila, when creating a medical request and saving a draft, none of the documents I uploaded saved. Is it supposed to be this way?
No, we did have some saving as draft issues. We know that was a problem. Is that happening right now? Or is that something that happened last week?
Well, and this
Well,
one's last week, and it seemed to be
Yeah.
specific to the documents that you'd uploaded.
Yeah, if you could try it now, that should be working. If not, please reach directly out to Richard, and Richard will get that log so I can look at it.
Yeah, just to confirm, that issue is one that should have been addressed in last week's release. So, yeah, hopefully that's been resolved if you go back in and try it now.
Filed a notice of appearance on a new claim, and when I add a new recipient, the employee's attorney, they do not have a drop-down option for that. We should be serving the employee's attorney, not the employee, if we have that information.
Yeah, you can add them as a party, but if they're not on the claim as a party yet, then that's why they're not showing up under the employee right now. But you can always add parties for service and add parties to in that service part.
But there isn't an option for attorney though. So what would they pick when they had to identify who they're adding?
In the drop down, I'll look
Right.
at it and get back with you.
I have a couple requests for certification of disputes that were filed on 11/2. My requests show up in my forms, but they don't show up in my disputes. Should I be concerned they are not being worked on?
Richard, do you know about those?
Sorry, I'm reading and talking to myself. They should show up in my disputes. I would want, this is another one where we maybe want to see if we could arrange a time to talk directly to, is it Julie who typed that in, to Julie, to get some clarification there, but
Yes.
they should be showing up in the My Disputes tab.
They actually don't show up until they're certified. So I think that's maybe one of the confusion. We can talk about it.
Right, and what I'm saying, go ahead, Brad.
But that's it. We can talk about it. But yeah, once you submit a certification of dispute, it goes over to ADR. ADR has to certify the dispute, and once it's certified, then it shows up as an act.
Right.
Well, and Julie said they have a couple others filed last week, and they are showing up in my disputes.
Okay. Well, let's look at we'll just get with Julie and figure out what's happening there.
Yeah, we probably want to dig into that a little bit.
Tina had confirmed too that about not having the ability to save his draft and return to it for viewing, tried as recently as today. Another question, when can we expect to start receiving notices of admin conferences on the medical rehab requests we have filed? I'm still waiting for an admin conference on a filing from 11/5.
So this relates directly to a couple of releases that are in the works right now, specific to notices of admin conferences. Our hope expectation is that we'll be able to get that resolved this week, and that would allow us to move forward in responding back and getting things pushed out in response to Tina's question there. So I would say the answer to that, Tina, is soon in terms of when we can expect to begin receiving those notices. And just keep your eyes open for that, for more information around that very quickly here as we get more clarity and confirmation about releases slated to go out. Thanks.
And Kelsey had a comment to Tina that you likely won't receive it if it was a file prior to campus go live date. That was something they told us last week. And Tina confirmed that this is actually something filed after go live. But Richard, you're aware of this and that work is in progress.
Are we back to the my disputes issue?
It's the same one about the notices for admin conferences on the medical and rehab requests.
Oh yeah, right. No, the notices stuff. Yeah, we're aware of that. We just need to make sure that our fixes get released, and then we'll be able to move forward with that. Again, I would just say to Tina that clarification and whatever clarity we're able to provide should be coming very soon. So just be patient with us. But we're very much aware that that is something that needs to be a priority, and we're making it a priority.
So we're coming up on 11:55. We have a few more minutes. No active questions right now. Brad or Richard, are there any other materials or comments you wanted to make before the end of the meeting?
I'll just say that I've tried as best I can. I know there've been a few things coming through behind the scenes here from folks. If there is a need to connect, we'll go back through the chat and just kind of curate it. I'll circle back with those individuals who had some things that, as Brad mentioned, it makes sense to connect with me on, either to get a question answered or just to get some additional information so we can dig a bit. But I'll make sure that we connect ASAP, and you get my contact information so we can start that process without any further delay. But I think this was great, great energy, great engagement from all of you. Thank you for your questions and comments, and we definitely appreciate you helping us make campus the best possible system that it can be. Thank you for your time and your input.
Thank you, Richard. I echo that. And also, I know that these sessions sometimes are hard, especially when we don't have some of our experts. This is she was she got sick, and we had some things planned for this session. So next week we'll have great sessions, and we will continue to reach out to people and to watch people's to do screen sharing sessions, and again, like Richard said, make this system a better system. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting, and I say thank you.
Thank you. And Tammy, I recorded your comment and we'll log a feedback item for that. Thank you.